Let's talk about average daily rates. In particular, very high average daily rates. If you think about the profit of your business, the daily rates are probably the most important of your performance indicators. Your profit is the difference between your revenue, which of course you want to be very high, and the cost, which you need to keep under control. And your revenue is defined as the occupancy rate multiplied with the average daily rate. Now the occupancy rate, which of course you want to have high, is capped by definition at 100%, while the average daily rate, well, the sky is the limit, or the market is the limit, whatever the market really pays you. So the question is, how can you improve, how can you increase your average daily rate? How can you optimize or maximize that? Now, as a benchmark, in Canggu, for a nice small villa or townhouse, you can have an average daily rate, average over the entire year, in the range of 200 to 250 US dollar, while getting an occupancy rate above 70%. Now, when I say high average daily rate, I mean something above 500 US dollars. So that is quite different. Now, of course, there are properties that manage to get these kinds of rates, but let's have a look at Canggu in particular and how you can achieve these rates. So I did a bit of research in Canggu about properties that can realize a very high average daily rate while still maintaining a very good occupancy rate above 70%. So first I was looking for small properties, meaning 1 or 2 bedrooms, but really high luxury, great location. Is there anyone who can manage to charge 500 US dollar in average and keep the occupancy rate high? In my research, I found very few properties in the range of 1 or 2 bedrooms that ask for a very high daily rate, meaning 500 plus. And on a closer look, I found out that these properties are asking for a high rate, but they're not really getting it. So they don't seem to have any bookings. They don't have any reviews, or very, very few. So they might be self-made. So there doesn't seem to be sufficient demand to really target this market segment with a new property. The risk would be just too high. So the other approach, if you can't go really high luxury on a small property, would of course to go large, 5, 6, even 7 bedrooms. And here I see a lot more properties, very large, and yes, they charge and get these high rates. Now the problem here is it's a lot more expensive to build and operate a very large villa than a small one. So you might get twice the revenue, but you have to pay 3 times the cost. And that obviously pulls down your profitability. Or you can get twice the daily rate, but your occupancy rate drops from 70% to 50%. So your revenue only increases by 50% and your cost is doubled. So again, it's not worth it. You find out it's a common trap that you double your revenue, but you triple your expenses, and overall your profitability goes down. Now the third segment I looked at is the large luxury segment, high luxury. So there are a couple of villas that are truly awesome, right at the beach in the best location you can imagine, very large, great luxury, pool and the beach. You have everything you can imagine and a little park around it. So this is like a typical wedding destination where people fly in from Hong Kong or Singapore with their 50 friends and celebrate their wedding. These properties often get away with charging 4,000 US dollar on a daily rate, but the occupancy rate is only like 50% in that range. And when you make that calculation, that gives you an annual revenue of, let's say, 750,000 US dollar, which is a lot of money, no doubt. But if your property costs about 5 million US dollar on a leasehold basis, which amounts to lost interest on the 5 million of about 250,000, writing off your property over 20-25 years, maybe another 200,000, 250,000. So it's close to 500,000 just for the property owning it. In a freehold scenario, and these kinds of properties typically are freehold, the cost would be, or the price would be 9 or 10 million. And you see that the cost of capital is about the same. You also end up with 500,000 or close to that as cost of capital, cost of ownership. And it does not include the maintenance. It does not include the staff salaries. So if you add all that together, you are at a cost base of close to 700,000 US dollar. And you see it's barely breaking even. So you might squeeze out 100,000 if you work really hard, but 100,000 US dollar a year on a $10 million investment is hardly a great investment. So what's the conclusion of all this? You cannot really go too far on the luxury side on something small. The market will not appreciate that enough. They will not pay the cost. So your profitability goes down. You should not overdo it on the small segment. On the larger segment, the profitability is altogether slightly lower and you have more risk involved as well. The very large luxury segment is fairly poor on the profitability. It probably pays a lot for the bragging rights to own that. Now, I found one property on the island that is very interesting to see, which does not quite fit that pattern. It's also not located in Canggu, but not too far away from that in Jimbaran. So this is a small 2-bedroom villa, fairly small, but they managed to get away with charging about 500 US dollar a night and getting a good occupancy rate as well. So how do they do that, and can you copy that approach? Now they have all the amenities you can imagine and a bit more than what is standard in Bali. So for example, laundry, they have a washing machine there. Well, typically in Bali, you give your laundry away to get it washed somewhere else. They have a pool, yes, that is kind of standard. They don't overdo it on that one, but it looks really, really nice. They have some place where you can tan at the pool, and once you got your sunburn, you can stay in the shades. They have a rooftop terrace where you can have a nice barbecue. They don't just tick off the amenities. Like for example, when it comes to the TV, they don't buy a small 32-inch TV just to tick that box, but a large 65-inch with a sound system where it's really nice to watch TV if you want that. The location is absolutely fantastic. So in short, they have a great location. They have all the amenities you need, but they don't overdo it. Where they really make the difference is the interior design that is absolutely impressive and probably super hard and expensive to keep that clean and maintained on an ongoing basis with guests checking in and out all the time. So interior design and designing the experience of the stay to the last bit perfectly, that makes a difference, and that really adds another 50 to even 100% on the average daily rate and makes a huge difference in the revenue here. Let me know what you think. What are you willing to pay for a lot of money in your vacation stay in Bali? What are the amenities? What are the aspects of it? Is it location? Is it service, which we did not talk about much at all? Or is it privacy, design? What is it that you're most willing to pay for? Let me know in the comments below.